Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 61 of Bodied, the Cloud9 Fancast. And tonight, we're just going to be doing a little quickie episode. Frozen and I are sleepy little sheepies, and we want to go to bed, but we can't deny our lovely listeners some Cloud9 news before we do. Tonight, we shall talk about some recent match results, the World's 2017 finals between SKT and Samsung Galaxy, and what is in store for the 2018 preseason. I am your host, Havokpus, as always, and I'm joined by Frozencreek. Say hello, Frozen.
Hey guys, by tonight we mean Wednesday night at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so check in on the podcast and listen to it live if you are dying for some esports talking on your Wednesday nights on Hump Day and on your It's Wednesday Dudes Frog Day too. So we're always here, and by night we mean this week, and hopefully the night because you guys tune in, but it's always nice to be here.
Yep, always nice. I think the off season is always a special time because we can kind of be a little bit more loose. You know, we can maybe talk about things that aren't directly related to Cloud9. Sometimes just kind of fill the void in our lives with just some stuff to talk about. But let's get right into it. Our first little match result is Vainglory once again kind of going into a death spiral. They lost to TSM 0-2, and game one was such a tragic throw that I actually quit watching the rest of the series. So what happened was the team had killed the Kraken or whatever, I guess awakened it, since the health bar fills up instead of goes down. But they got the Kraken, and it was slowly turning down the lane, right? And they got a fight, and it was going okay, but then TSM started to run away. So Cloud9 could have just went like, okay, let's kind of help Kraken push a little bit, let's kind of back off. Instead they go, nah, we're going all in. And chase them through like 2 turrets, and they didn't stop there. They also tried to like dive TSM's fountain. And of course that didn't work, so Cloud9 then got like extremely low, so it's like, well, we can't fight now. So then they try to run, they get aced, and then TSM just runs into Cloud9's base and then wins. It was honestly one of the stupidest things I've ever seen the team do, and I was shaking my head for so long, because this is the same Cloud9 that won 2 North American championships in a row.
So this was like watching the League of Legends team play against Dignitas with 3 inhibitors down.
Yes.
Kind of thing.
Yes, this is exactly that. It was just really frustrating because this team, you know, with the players that it has, they can totally win a lot. You know, I think that they're incredibly talented. I'm not sure if just the Vainglory League in general has become stronger, or you know, they've just kind of hit a wall strategically, and they don't know what to do with themselves anymore. If there's like internal strife and no one is like communicating as well as they should, I honestly don't know. But they need to fix it, and they need to do something because they cannot continue to lose, especially against opponents like, I don't know, like Tribes Gaming or something, or like Nova Esports or something. Like, you can't lose to these teams that you have so handily beaten in the past. You know, you just can't do that. And I think they really need to right the ship now before it goes on for like a year or something, and then the roster is either just completely dead, or we start changing it up by bringing in new people.
Yeah, I don't really know what's going on with this team. Just what, a month ago, two months ago, they were flying super duper high, and now they've just kind of just jumped the ship and haven't really been able to right it at all. I guess it begs the question if those couple months at the top of the Vainglory world were more of a fluke as opposed to being, or to as Cloud9 actually being a juggernaut, like TSM has been through most of like the a real competitive Vainglory days. So I'm hoping that they're able to flip it around within the next month. But if they're not able to right the ship, I'm gonna start being a little worried about the squad.
Yeah, I'm a little bit worried as well. Hopefully, hopefully they can fix it, But I think I'm not sure how Worlds qualification works. I need to look into that. But if they end up not making it to Worlds, and I think this is going to be the first Worlds for Vainglory, or maybe the second. But if they don't get it, then I think that you kind of have to look at the team and be like, you won like the spring and summer championships, and you still didn't get into Worlds. There needs to be some serious evaluation going on there. But I think all we can do is cheer the team on and encourage them and hope that they can do well. I don't know. I really don't have any more to say on the subject except that I have a feeling of mixed disappointment and I guess reluctant optimism. But let's talk about CSGO, which I think is way more uplifting. I hope you caught the match yesterday because it was exciting. Cloud9 CSGO played against Team Liquid, and boy howdy was it good. Map 1, they crushed it. They were on Cobble and they went 16-2. They put their boots on their necks and they did not let them get up at all. Mirage they lost, but it was a very close loss. I believe at one point they tied it up, I think like maybe 13-13. So at that point it was anyone's game, and Liquid just got a couple lucky rounds, but it was definitely in Cloud9's hands to win. And Team Liquid is like, I think people are rating them as like probably the best, if not one of the best CSO squads in North America. So to see results like this, considering I think maybe the last time they played Liquid like a month ago, they got kind of crushed. I think this is extremely encouraging to anyone who's a Cloud9 CSGO fan.
Was Cobble our map choice?
No, Mirage was our map choice. Cobble was Liquid's choice.
Oh, well then what the fuck?
I believe.
I feel like every time I watch both maps, we end up picking Train.
Yeah, like we do well on their
I'm
map
sure.
choice, but then it's our map choice, and then we don't do as well.
I feel like we always do well on Train, and anything else that we pick just seems kind of shady.
Train
that's just
Train has kind of been our staple pick for a while. Everyone is extremely comfortable on Train. I think Mirage is a 50-50. Sometimes we look really good, sometimes we don't. I think we've been actually looking really well on Cobble. I think a lot of our results lately have shown that we can really play Cobble. Inferno, I think, is another 50-50. I think it's all... I don't like Inferno because there's lots of points where the enemy can kind of boost up and just get into these really good kind of cross shots that can blindside you. So I don't... there's too many corners and everything. I don't like Inferno, personally. But I think Cobble is actually maybe one of our stronger maps.
yeah, and it really showed. At one point, I was thinking that there was a real chance of us just going 16-0 until they managed to pick us off the first round. What was it, like round 9 or 10 or something?
I think so, yeah.
I didn't get a chance to watch the Mirage map because I was doing work for my job last night, and I was only able to kind of watch the first map. So once I got the update that we tied, I was kind of disappointed because I didn't think that we had picked Cobble, so I was disappointed to see that we didn't when the map I thought that we would have picked. So even though Team Liquid might be one of like the top North American squads, I still think that Cloud9 should be the top North American squad and should be winning maps like this, even if it's close. And losing 13-6 is kind of disappointing. I think all things considered, especially since we haven't really been kicking ass and taking names in ESL Pro League overall. So I do think it's good that we have been on the upswing though. Starting with that DreamHack Denver win, we've started to look pretty good.
Yeah, and I think that it just comes down to the fact that the team is starting to really, finally gel together. And I think that the DreamHack win just did a lot for their confidence. And I think it showed. They also played against Lightning Muffins later that night. I was asleep for it. But they were in the semifinals for the WESG American Qualifier, and they won 2-0, which is also really great. And I think that I'm not sure when the finals for that is, but I'm not sure if you make the finals you're already in, or you have to win the finals of the qualifier to go to the actual tournament. I can't remember. The stuff like that's always confusing to me, but it looks like they're on a really good hot streak, and I think that if they just keep playing like they're playing, they can definitely start getting some other major wins, and I think DreamHack is definitely a great place to start.
Yeah, but if we can't carry the momentum over, then I'll be a little bit disappointed. But I do think that this team has a lot of potential. And DreamHack was just the beginning, so I guess we'll just have to wait and see what's coming up in the future. But do you know when the American the American final, or the final of the WESG American qualifier is?
No, I don't know exactly when it is. I was looking it up earlier just to see like how the bracket looked. But yeah, I don't know the date of that for sure. I think it might be I think it's at least sometime this week, at least as I am saying this. But if
Yeah, that would.
if it hasn't already happened by the time you're listening to this, keep an eye out for it, I guess.
Yeah, download either what is it, Strafe?
Yeah, I use Strafe, and Strafe is great because it gives you notifications for any team that you want to keep an eye on, which is extremely useful.
I use the Score Esports app. It gives you notifications and stuff. Also, I had some trouble with Strafe when I tried it out in the past, and I found that the Score Esports was a bit more reliable. I don't know what Strafe is like now, but I think it's worth trying out both to see which one you like more. But yeah, download those, set up notifications for Cloud9, and then you can find out about all of the matches beforehand and get updates during them.
Yes, please do so. Also, set notifications for the London Spitfire, which is our Overwatch League team. And
oh yeah, I should do that.
Did you forget that we had an Overwatch League team, Frozen?
No, I just hadn't thought of it yet because I haven't needed to get the updates yet.
You haven't needed to think about it? To be honest, that's all I've been thinking about.
I see them, but like I don't need to get updates about it yet just because they don't start for a month from today.
Yeah, that's true. I think I'm just really excited because ever since the World Cup happened, I think it's really really energized the fan base. So like now everyone is just really jazzed about competitive Overwatch, and they really want to see matches. And the Overwatch League has, at least it seems like it has a lot of like really great players and our team is just stacked. If you haven't seen through Twitter, the roster was officially announced. It is as everyone thought. It was a mix of the core C9 Kongdu players and the GC Busan roster, plus like 2 free agents, and it looks pretty good. For tank players, you have Jester from GC Busan and Fisher from Kongdu. DPS, we have Rascal and Birdring from Kongdu, and Prophet and Hureg from GC Busan. Support, you have Badoshin from Kongdu, Noose or Nuss. He was a free agent, and then Hagopen and Closer from GC Busan, and then for flex players, you have Fury and Wuhal. Wuhal is from GC Busan, so just a really stacked roster, and everyone seems really nice. I've watched Fisher and Birdring, and I think maybe Jester's streams. No, it was Hagopen. I've seen Hagopen stream, and they all seem really nice, and they seem to have a lot of fun playing. So, definitely try to check out their Twitch channels if you can find them, and just try to support the team. I think that everyone is probably going to need to make a little extra effort to make sure that this roster really clicks with the fans and everything. So, just do that.
Yeah, and I think now that all of the rosters are announced, all of the colors, the crests are all announced, I guess now is as good of time as any to talk a little bit about what the hype has been so far. I know you've had a chance to look at all of the crests and all the, I guess the quote-unquote uniforms. What are you feeling so far about what you've seen thematically from all the teams? And what would you say some of your favorites are for all of the league so far?
That's a good question. I think that, at least from a branding sense, I think all the logos and everything look really good. I think the Houston Outlaws is probably a close second to the Spitfire logo, because the Outlaws just, it's such a great logo because it's like guns, but it also looks like a cow skull, which is sort of very Texas. When it kind of fits the outlaw motif, and it's just such a great design, and the colors are very interesting as well. I'm really 50-50 on the New York Excelsior logo. It looks bad, but at the same time, it looks like something that I would actually put on a T-shirt, and it actually looks fairly marketable. I hate the Boston Uprising one. It just looks so ugly. I don't know why.
It looks kind of like Boston University's logo.
Yeah, it does kind of look like a university logo. But what else?
I really like Dallas Fuel's logo, and I like
sponsored by Jack in the Box
Dynasty's logo. I really like London's too. I think that it really fits the theme of historic soccer teams and such, and it just kind of feels right. I think the blue is just a little bit off, but besides that, I think they've killed it so far, and it's one of my favorites. And I think that the uniforms, quote unquote, are really good too.
Yeah, I may have to. I'm for sure gonna buy a Spitfire hat because I really like the logo, but I may end up buying a Spitfire jersey too.
Yes. So for those who don't know, I guess this is going to be a collaboration because I'm not 100% on all of this. But the Spitfire is a type of plane from World War II. And
yes.
That's kind of where they got their name from. And Tracer was a Spitfire pilot or something like that in the lore for Overwatch. Is that correct?
Yes, you're correct. So I think picking Spitfire is probably their best choice actually, because it ties a lot of the brand with London. So it's very easy to associate the team with London. So it doesn't really matter who's playing under the team, it could be 12 Koreans, it could be 12 British people, UKians, Londoners. That's the better word for it. But
UKians.
UKians. I want that to be a term. But
Seems legit.
but yeah, it doesn't really matter who's playing under the team because the brand is so associated with London that I think it kind of takes some of the pressure off of the players, and I think that's super cool.
Yeah, I think that the blue, although they're trying to tie it into Cloud9 a little bit, I think that the blue is just a little too much. But it's whatever. I do like blue.
Blue is nice. It's pretty.
So I'm happy to see that. Having taken a look at the rosters, what are you thinking is the favorite or two for the league this year?
A lot of people are putting us and probably Seoul Dynasty at the tops of many lists. I think the top 4 teams are probably going to be us, Seoul Dynasty, and this is in no particular order, but it's probably London, Seoul Dynasty, Dallas Fuel, and then the last one's kind of hard. It might be a toss-up between maybe like Houston or probably New York. New York has the LW Blue roster. I haven't seen them play, and I don't think they've played for a little while, but they're probably going to be strong competition as well. So we'll have to see. But I'm really looking forward to preseason, which starts in December, and our first match is a bit of a grudge match actually, since Surefour, who is a former player of ours, is playing for the LA Gladiators. We'll be playing them on December 7th at 5 p.m. Eastern. So mark your calendars down for that. You'll have kind of a rumble, if you will.
Yeah, get hype. I mean, I know these matches mean absolutely nothing in the grand scheme of things, but it's something to look forward to, and I'm hoping that they can add a couple tweaks to the viewing experience that they debuted last week, and it turned out better than it was. So I'm hoping a tweak or two will make it more of an enjoyable esport to watch for people who aren't huge FPS players, because it's been kind of a mess historically, but they've really been trying to make improvements to it, which I think we're a little too late, but it's good to see that they're doing it now, because they've invested so much into this Overwatch League that if they didn't fix that it would just be a giant clusterfuck. So I'm pretty excited for how this is going to go. I guess I can't comment too much on it until it starts. So let's just move on a little bit.
Yeah. Also, equally excited. Let's move on to talking about some League of Legends action. The Worlds Finals happened. I think that was over the weekend, and sort of in a surprising win, Samsung Galaxy beat SKT 3-0. I was certainly hoping for at least going to all 5 games. That way, everyone can kind of get their bang for their buck. I did predict Samsung would win. I did not expect it to go 3-0. Frozen, what was your initial reaction to the result?
I know I picked SKT to win, but seeing their result, my first thought was like, what the fuck? Like, this was like, I know I said internally when this happened that it would be like Penn State in college football. Like, this was before they lost to my boys last weekend. It would be like them like falling face first into the college football playoff, then dismantling Alabama to win the whole thing. And it just kind of felt like almost it kind of felt almost surreal, just because this wasn't kind of the way you ever expected SKT to fall. But I guess there were indications that it might happen. The mess in the jungle, the top lane being not up to par as it had in seasons past. But just like watching the games, it was just unbelievable. Just seeing these teams play, drafting Karma when you're down and in an elimination game, Karma mid, sorry, and just watching choke at so easily walking into a team and silencing 4 or 5 people, without in any attempt to peel for the ADC or for Faker. It was just unbelievable to see them just forget how to play League of Legends, and I think that me saying that is something that says a lot for Samsung, because they were able to completely make SKT look like a North American team, just by how they completely dominated them. And honestly, it's just crazy.
Yeah, I think what was so weird about it was that I think at least in 2 out of the 3 games, I slept for the first one because it was kind of early in the morning. But watching it was just weird because I know in game 3 at least, like SKT had early game advantages. Like they would get early game leads sometimes, but Samsung would just keep winning fights that they shouldn't be able to win with, kind of the income that they had. Like even the casters were saying like Samsung just keeps winning these fights when they shouldn't, and it's just really weird. I'm not sure if it, I think they put like Peanut in for the first 2 games, and it seems kind of weird considering I think Blank has been the more solid jungler for SKT. So it seemed like kind of a weird decision to lead with Peanut. I think Huni's actually been alright in the top lane. This is his first year with SKT. But, I think he did fine. I think he certainly could have played better, but I think he did fine. And, I think the bot lane just didn't live up to expectations. I think it's really weird just because I think the SKT series was more of not necessarily one person lagging behind, but just the team as a whole was lagging behind and not playing as... And this is more in the scope of things, probably the entire Worlds Tournament in general, but just SKT not being on the same page, not playing better as a collective unit than their opponent. And I think that's why we saw, them get taken to a Game 5 with Misfits, or them struggle against, their semifinal opponent and everything else. I think it's really just them not being able to be a cohesive unit this year, and that's actually kind of weird considering you have someone like Faker on your team.
Yeah, I can agree with a lot of that. I mean, I think it's more just surreal to see them finally lose, and especially in the manner that they lost. But I guess that's what the off season's for, and season 8 looks like it is going to be something. So while we are talking about the something that is season 8, let's talk a little bit about the preseason, which dropped today.
Yes. I tried a bit
Wednesday
of the new runes and masteries, and so far I'm really liking them. I think that it's really interesting that they've kind of gone away with, which the thing that I hated about the rune system was just that runes were just tiny stat bonuses, and then the masteries were kind of things to augment your gameplay, but it didn't really feel like it mattered. Like, playing as an AD carry, I could go probably all 3 Fervor masteries and it not really make much of a difference because AD carries, and in any role really, you just have a role and it just goes, oh, you're playing this role, you're going to use like these masteries, which is just a generic setup that fits probably half or if not all of the champions in that role, and then like maybe a specific rune page or two depending on more specifically who you're playing, and it just felt kind of frustrating and a bit dull. The new rune system I think is really neat because it requires you to kind of consider what your comp is and what the enemy's comp is and kind of adjust that a little bit. And I really like how dynamic and impactful it actually is. It feels like they're actually doing something.
Yeah, I played a couple ARAMs on it, and I'm kind of torn on how I feel about it. I feel like runes and masteries shouldn't be such an important thing. It should kind of be like a personal choice based on what you're playing that can help make your champion just a little bit stronger. And I feel like this is more of like a, what are you picking to go into battle with? Like, are you picking like a grenade launcher, or are you picking like a sword, or are you picking like a giant shield? And I feel like it just puts you into a too powerful place based on your champion, I guess. I haven't played enough with all of the runes yet, and I haven't been able to try all of them. But I didn't think the masteries thing was too bland. I felt like it was in a pretty good place. I knew that I had a style of play that I was able to pick my rune my runes, or sorry, I could pick my masteries from. I knew I liked playing Fervor. I knew I liked playing Deathfire Touch, Encourage of the Colossus, so I could pick my champions around that. And now they just feel a little strong, but I guess we'll see in the future how it develops. I mean, I think there is a very good chance in 2 months, when I'm able to play more games, that I'm gonna like them a lot more.
Yeah, it's,
because I did think that the rune setup was completely out of date, and I'm glad that they did something to update that.
Yeah, it's definitely something to get used to. I played out of the few games I played, I think the first one, it felt a little off because I was using a rune setup that wasn't really ideal for the champion that I was playing. So I think you can definitely feel when your setup is off. Either in like just the practice tool or playing in a game, you can kind of tell if like, oh, this doesn't really feel right. But once you get used to it, I think you'll like it a lot more. I certainly like it. I'm not sure how other people feel about it. It's certainly a new thing, which I really like. I like when Riot does these really big new changes to the game, because it basically makes it a whole new game, and I can hate it less and play it more. So that's always good. Speaking of new, what is your hot take on Zoe, the new burst mage that is on the PBE right now? Is she super duper broken, or is she just what the burst mage style needs?
My first hot take is that when I read the name, I think of just Zoe and not Zoe. So that's my first hot take. I'm probably just going to continue calling her Zoe. I think it's because someone I know is called Zoe, or she goes by Zoe and not Zoe. So that's my first hot take. My second hot take is that she looks like a combination between like a Lulu and Lux, which is amazing to me because I love Lulu, but she doesn't do enough damage anymore. And I think that she looks like a fucking blast. I'm super excited for her to come out onto Summoner's Rift like officially and not just PBE. And I think that her skill cap is going to be insanely high, and it's going to be a lot of fun to experiment with because there's so many different angles and just small things that to learn, like picking up summoner spells, and trying to completely move her around the map to take advantage of her only damage spell, really. And it's kind of like a Zillion, where all of his damage is in a Q, or in as a Q, but it's made into a mage as opposed to more of a supportive hero. So personally, I'm super excited for her to come out. I'm hoping that I can make her my new main for the beginning of the season, but I guess it depends out how she ends up coming out numbers wise and how she feels to play, because I have a feeling it's going to be tough to have a lane priority with her, just based on the fact that she has one spell that can really damage minion waves.
Yeah, when I saw Riot's video of her and just seeing her like zip around everywhere, I was just like, what fresh hell is this? I don't want to deal with this. But she seems really interesting. I really want to see how pro players like Jensen or Bjergsen deal with her, playing with her and playing against her, because it seems like kind of a Talia situation where at first she didn't seem that good, but then as more players started to play her and really get a hang of like her combos and everything, all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, Talia's great. We play her all the time. Why wouldn't you want to play her every now and then? So it'll definitely be interesting. I think her ultimate's kind of neat because you can kind of it's something where like she goes through like a portal and she pops out one end and you can kind of do stuff for a little bit, and then you go back through and then you go back to where you originally were. So I think that that's really interesting. And the whole summoner spell stealing, it sounds just so insane because she can steal flashes, so she's like just jumping everywhere. She's just bam bam bam, and it I think if you come across a truly great like Zoe player, you should definitely fear them for what they can do.
Yeah, and I think they did a good job balancing her around her mobility and CC by giving her a one damage spell, which has a decently sized hitbox that's not super OP. Like, it's not like LeBlanc when she was like super strong.
Yeah, she's kind of like Twisted Fate, and that
all the time,
and that her kit doesn't inherently have a lot of damage, but it's kind of built around one kind of damaging thing, and the rest of her kit just kind of augments that to better help her out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm super excited to watch how she debuts. I know I've said that about Ivern, and I said that about Aurelion Sol, but I truly think knowing that Aurelion Sol and Ivern weren't quite as interactive as Zoe's going to be, that I truly think I'm gonna like her, and that I'm hopefully gonna be able to fit her into my arsenal for season 8.
Yeah, yeah, I can't think of anything else to really say about her, but it's definitely, anytime they put in a new champion, it's always kind of exciting because you instantly ask, how is everyone gonna approach her? You know, how are they gonna build her? How are they gonna play her? So it's gonna be definitely an exciting preseason for sure. I think one last topic I want to touch on is All Stars. Did you go ahead and cast your ballot for who you wanted to go for the North American team?
I have not yet, honestly. You got to pick one for each each position, right?
Yes,
And
that's how it
three
works this time around.
and three at most from one team.
I think it's two for. You can only have two people from one team
Two.
on the All
Yeah,
Stars roster.
yeah. Realistically, I think Contract, Smoothie, and Sneaky have the best chance of getting in.
I think Contracts is
So
third behind. Mike Young is first in terms of junglers, which isn't surprising at all when you think about it. Smoothie, I think, is like fourth. I can't remember who is. I think it's probably Aframu. Every year they pick Aframu, but right now Hanser and Bjergsen are first in their positions, which I think is what everyone needs to do. If you're listening to this and you haven't voted yet, cast your votes for Hanser and Bjergsen. This will, as much as it pains me that Jensen, who is sitting at number 2 in mid lane, won't get to go to All Stars, this essentially means that Doublelift won't get to go, and I think he shouldn't get to go after his Worlds performance anyway. But since Hanser and Bjergsen will be going, this means that no more people from TSM can go, and Sneaky, who is at least currently in first as an AD carry, will just go automatically. And I think at least one C9 player deserves to go.
Yeah, and if we're talking about Worlds performances, I don't think any of TSM should really go, but that's beside the point. It was always going to be two TSM players or one or Bjergsen and another TSM player. Surprisingly, I guess it's not Doublelift, but I think they're all mad at him for not flashing his way out of a couple situations.
Yeah.
So hopefully it'll be Sneaky.
What?
Sneaky deserves it.
Yeah,
too,
yeah, for sure. I think I think Doublelift getting I guess a little bit of a cold shoulder by the community, I think is definitely deserved, especially since last Worlds, not the one that just happens, but in the 2016 Worlds, he had a similar goofy play where he was playing Lucian in Crown, and he was up against Samsung Galaxy, and Crown was on Victor, and he's just walking up like, I can get this guy, and then he just gets exploded out of nowhere. So I think after having sort of 2 Worlds flubs in a row, I think someone else definitely needs to go. And plus, Sneaky and Aframu are like best friends. I love whenever they would duo together, back when duoing was a thing. I loved watching them stream together because they were just so funny, and they looked like they had like the best time. So I'd really like to see Sneaky and Afro kind of be on the same team.
Yeah, I think that would be fun if it was a Sneaky and Aframu. So I guess if we're lobbying, then vote Contracts in the jungle to try and boost him up. He is the best teenager in the jungle, not Mike Young. So yeah. If we were voting the best jungler, it would be Lyra, but Contracts is definitely the cutest. So vote Contracts and Sneaky.
I was actually, when I was voting, I was actually thinking if I should vote for Lyra. It was the jungler vote, I think, was actually the hardest one for me because everything else was fairly easy. Mid lane I actually voted for High because I think he definitely deserved to go, just in that he's been in the scene for so long. I think he deserves a little bit more recognition than he's kind of given, since FlyQuest has been kind of eh. But jungle was really hard, and I was about to vote for Lyra, and I'm like, no, everyone's gonna vote for Mike Young. Just pick Mike Young. And I'm like, what are you, crazy? Contracts deserve this. He played so good this year. He deserves recognition for having a good rookie split. So I ultimately picked Contracts because he's my boy. He's the soft boy.
Yeah, if I could rub his hair like a Reaper does, I totally would.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think no one would pass up an opportunity to run their fingers through his luscious locks.
All right. Well, this podcast went about 10 minutes longer than we had hoped. So let's
I call
wrap
that
it
a
up.
success. Yeah, let's wrap it up. We don't really have any predictions or anything. So I guess we'll just sign off. Thanks for listening to the 61st episode of Body of the Cloud9 Fancast. It's been great that we've made it this long. Hopefully we can at least get to episode 100. But we'll have to see. Feel free to tweet questions and feedback to us at C9Bodied or email us at bodiedfancast@gmail.com. We'll probably answer questions on the next podcast or answer them through Twitter. We're very interactive. Frozen, would you like to plug in all of our platforms that we're on? Because we're on quite a few.
Yeah, I was going to say check your favorite podcast apps, and then if it's not on there, let us know so I can panic. But I know we're in iTunes, we're in Google Play, we are in Overcast, Pocket Cast, and Stitcher for sure. If you do not see any of our last episodes, meaning last week and this week, then let me know, and then I can look into it. We just got into most of these podcasting platforms, so if it's not there, I apologize. And also, thank you to Ian for helping us out as always.
Yeah, also, just a quick thing. If there's any story in particular that you want me and the team to cover, definitely tweet at us about it because, I usually write the episodes for us, so I kind of try to find what is sort of relevant to us, either it being like match results or, with the PUBG thing that we talked about last week, as something that's kind of relevant. But if there's a story or something that's really big that you feel that we really need to talk about, since it kind of relates to Cloud9, or since it's the off season, just esports in general, please feel free to let us know. I'm always open to talking about things that the listeners wanna hear. So please just get in touch with us on Twitter. I really like interacting with people, so hit us up. But yeah, anyway, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye, everyone.